brought to you by BTC. Get all the internet you need for half the price when you bundle your internet and mobile. Conditions apply.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Theo Seeley. Thanks so much for joining us. Topping the weekend edition tonight, as we're still in the peak of the hurricane season, weather system inching closer to the Bahamas, that is expected to develop into a hurricane later this week. And while the Bahamas may not be in the direct line of impact, weather officials say we still may feel some effects.
Still a tropical storm that is still in the Caribbean Sea at this moment. It's about 300 miles south-southeast of Grand Cayman Islands. It's moving towards the west-northwest near 14 miles per hour at this time. It will gradually shift northwestwards, heading over to the western portion of Cuba, going into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. The latest tracks have the center line passing over around Tallahassee area, but we can still have some variance within that track. Coming into the early parts of next week, we're going to have pretty much a wet pattern over our area because we're going to have some moisture associated with the storm. We're not expected to have any tropical storm conditions at this time, but the Department of Meteorology will continue to provide you with updates concerning the storm and its trajectory.
Meantime, Prime Minister Philip Davis addressing attendees of the 77th General Assembly at the United Nations meeting in New York over the weekend. Now the nation's leader making a major statement regarding the European Union blacklisting the Bahamas. He called the move unfair.
Why is it that European states that operate frameworks akin to that of blacklisted countries are not being even eligible for the inclusion on these lists? Why are all the countries targeted, all of them, small and vulnerable, and former colonies of European states? We find it astounding that the $2 to $3 trillion, which is estimated to be laundered each year through the developed countries, are never flagged as causes for concern. And yet my country, which is widely recognized as one of the best regulated countries in the world, and other countries like the Bahamas, are singled out for such reputational attacks. The robust regulatory regimes of our Central Bank, Securities Commission, and Insurance Commission are chastised on minor details of technical process, while much bigger transgressions in the developed world are ignored. The evidence is mounting that the considerations behind these decisions have less to do with compliance and more to do with darker issues of prejudged discriminatory perceptions. Let me submit, black-governed countries also matter.
And the Prime Minister continues to push the message of climate change, urging larger countries to be accountable and lend financial assistance to small island developing states like the Bahamas who feel the impacts of climate change.
I have frequently spoken, as have so many others, about the need for action in terms of climate justice and fairness. Why should small island nations like mine, we who have contributed so little to the climate crisis, experience the biggest burdens and risk of a climate-changing world? The argument might be straightforward, but it has not been effective. For a long time, decision makers in both the public and private sectors believed that climate action must come at the expense of economic growth. But now, many are beginning to understand that climate inaction is the most expensive option of all. Taking action is not just in the interests of those of us who are particularly vulnerable, it is in the interest of every country. And it is this enlightened self-interest that should motivate action.
In crime news tonight, a man involved in an alleged armed robbery gunned down by police yesterday afternoon. According to police officials, officers were responding to a reported armed robbery that occurred in the area of Robinson Road. Police found a vehicle matching the description reported in the immediate area. Police Press Liaison Officer Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings was on the scene to give more details.
Officers attempted to stop the vehicle. However, the vehicle sped off. One of the males in the vehicle exited the vehicle. He engaged police officers and he was fatally wounded. HM Coroner is presently on scene, and she now takes over the investigation into this particular incident.
Now, according to Skippings, police did recover a firearm and ammunition from the male who appears to be in his late teens. She had these words of warning for individuals who continue to participate in lawless activities in the Bahamas.
The police will remain firm, we will be resolute, and we will continue to preserve this country for the good citizens of it. Those persons who seek to engage in criminal activity, those who seek to engage the police will protect the good citizens, and the police officers will protect themselves, as they too have families that they have to go home to. And so I encourage those who engage in lawless behavior to seek ways to correct those behaviors, because as a law enforcement agency, we're going to do just what it is that we're going to do.
In more crime news, police officials are providing an update into two incidents that occurred last week. The first, a double shooting incident that occurred on Lucky Heart Corner, where reportedly occupants of a heavily tinted purple Toyota Passo opened fire on a group of people attending a grill out, which resulted in two males being shot multiple times about the body. The second incident being a stabbing that occurred Wednesday morning, where the body of a male in his 50s was found with multiple stab wounds about the body and left in the stairwell of a building. Chief Superintendent Michael Johnson gives a brief update on those two matters.
And one of those persons have since succumbed to their injuries. So that is now a homicide investigation. We are following significant leads into that matter and hope to bring some resolution to that investigation pretty shortly. Yeah, we are still following some significant leads into that matter. We had a person in custody, but that person was released. But we feel pretty confident of that investigation also.
Do you have a motive at this time?
Not at this time, so.
The search for Rochelda Woodside is still ongoing. This according to Police Press Liaison Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings, who says officers are following several lines of inquiry that they hope can lead them to finding the missing woman. It's been just over 1 month since Woodside was last seen at her Washington Street residence on August 11th. Since then, her family has offered a cash reward for anyone with information on her return. Authorities are making an appeal to members of the public to assist with their investigation into what they say is a suspicious disappearance.
There's no reason for you to feel intimidated or fearful if you have information. Use Crime Stoppers if you know, or if you've heard something, or if you believe something. And so yes, we are still inquiring into that particular matter. And all of the missing persons who would have been reported, we are still following our lines of inquiries into those incidents, and where we have information that's going to take us or lead us to where those individuals may be, we will reach out to the families like we have been doing, and we will update them accordingly. And I say that because I personally have sat in on a few of the family members with persons whose families were reported missing. And so we remain focused, we remain dedicated to dealing with the task that lies ahead of us.
Well, in less than 1 week, the national mask mandate is expected to be lifted. At least that's what the Office of the Prime Minister announced last week. Prime Minister Philip Davis announced on Wednesday last week that the relaxation of the mask mandate will take effect as of October 1st. However, he indicated that masks will continue to be required in schools, healthcare facilities, and in senior care homes for the time being. The move came as a surprise to some, but it's been a long-awaited move expected by many. But as the changes come into effect on Saturday, where does the country stand with its herd immunity and thrust toward having the adult and child population fully vaccinated? At last count, the Ministry of Health revealed on Tuesday last week that 362,000 vaccine doses have been administered. 162,000 of that number have been received with just one dosage of the vaccine, and 172,000 have received both jabs. Dr. Danny Davis telling Eyewitness News that the Ministry of Health and Wellness is looking to have better numbers ahead with the vaccination process, but he said health officials are still waiting for people to come forward.
In both cases, we would expect to see a lot more pediatric uptake and adult uptake. What we've really tried to do is make sure that this is available to anybody who wants to take advantage of the vaccine and this opportunity to protect themselves from COVID. So our big thrust has been, let's make it available. The children's vaccine is now available on Saturdays at the mall. Again, now that school is open, that makes it more convenient for parents to come in and get their children vaccinated on a Saturday from 6 to 10.
Now, while he says vaccine uptake is a bit slow at this time, he's hopeful that the media and the government's national vaccination campaign will be able to garner a little more interest from the public to get vaccinated.
I think this interview helps us get that message across as well, in the sense that vaccines are still available, and since they're still available, those people who are minded to do so can find themselves to get vaccinated. So that's been the key for us. Yes, come out and get vaccinated, and we're going to make it easy for you to come out and get vaccinated.
Still on news about vaccinations tonight, one local doctor is trying to reduce the rate of cervical cancer in the Bahamas by pushing the public to receive the human papillomavirus vaccine. HPV is reportedly the most common sexually transmitted infection, and while some infected will not experience health issues, if the virus does not get treated quickly, urologist Dr. Gregory Pinto says it can have dire consequences.
I've seen too many heartbreaking stories of women in the prime of their lives. They've just gotten married. They have 2 young children. They have their whole life ahead of them. They've started new careers, dying needlessly, 23, 25, 35, 48 years old, and it goes at many ages. And it's a very horrible death, and it's a slow, painful death, and it's not necessary. If you can get an HPV vaccine, which is readily available through the Ministry of Health, free of charge for men, for males and females, starting at the age of between 11 and 13. So it's for little girls and for little boys, preteens. You can stop the chance of getting cervical cancer by 94%.
Dr. Pinto says that many other cancers relate to HPV and that males must be aware of the danger they can pose to their partners if they're not vaccinated. September is observed as Leukemia Awareness Month internationally, and one local foundation decided that it would host the first Leukemia Awareness Month here during the month of September as well. Its aim is to raise awareness of the disease and bring hope to families impacted by it. Here's Laurencia Smith with that story.
It's one of the most common cancers among children younger than 15 years old here in the Bahamas. And since 2010, more than 100 children have been diagnosed with cancer. 50% of that figure has been leukemia. The Blue Rose Foundation is doing their part to bring awareness in the Bahamas. Co-founder and chairman Philip Bow says the foundation, which was started in 2019 after his mother Minerva Camp McIntosh lost her 15-year battle with the disease.
She helped a lot of persons, so we wanted to continue that. So we decided to form the foundation to assist children, because when we did the research, we found out that it's actually the number one cancer in children, really, next to brain cancer. So our mission is really to assist adolescents living with that disease and their families, of course, to spread life and hope and help them out financially, whatever it is, whatever their needs are, we're there for them.
Leukemia is formed in the blood cells and bone marrow. It's more commonly found in boys than girls. And here in the country, acute lymphomic leukemia is more common. Shortly, a special mural will be unveiled at the Oncology Center for the Little Ones.
So, the nurses there, Nurse Demarin and all of the nurses there, we've worked with them since we've started the foundation along with Dr. Sinkwe Brown, and they identify children for us, but we wanted to bring life. This is where the children go and receive their chemo and their treatment, and it's just a plain wall, plain room, and so we're going to revitalize that. We're going to bring some life, bring some hope. So when they're there, they're hopeful, they're in a different space. And when they go to ring that bell, there'll be an image there of the butterfly wings. And
this month, the organization hosted a number of events, including a dollar drive, a church service at Bahama Harvest, and this past Saturday held an event over on Grand Bahama, as Bo's mother was a native of that island called Orange Appeal on Independence Park. It was a day full of fun and celebration and bringing awareness to the disease.
Establish a scholarship at the University of the Bahamas. As I speak, they're probably putting the last works together for that as well. So we're planning to make that announcement at the beginning of October, if not at the end of this month. But that is going to be for music students. My mom and the camp family, they're very well known for being musicians and being into the arts, and so we want that to be for a music major. My mom was an advocate of higher learning, so along with us assisting children and their battle with leukemia, we also want to assist a student every year with their fees and instruments and books and whatever it may be. So every year we're going to be donating $1,000.
The organization got its name as Bo's mother's favorite color was blue, and she loved receiving a single rose. Here's the vision for the foundation moving forward.
For the foundation moving forward, I would love to establish or build an actual wing at the Oncology Center just for children. Right now there's a little section, but I'd like for it to be a whole center just for children. Also, too, I'd like for the Blue Rose Foundation to be at a point when children need to travel to the U.S. because sometimes the treatment they need isn't here. I would like for us to be in a position where we can totally finance that. There's no cost to the families. We can send them off totally, whether that's airfare, transportation, treatment, meals, whatever it is. And that's really my dream, along with that center that I would love for us to have.
Laurencia Smith, Eyewitness News.
If you've got a news tip or if you've seen news in the making, call the Eye on News hotline at 397-6397. And we also invite you to send your letters to the editor for publication on all of our social media platforms at eyewitnessnewsbahamas@gmail.com. And if you're watching on our Facebook or YouTube pages, please share your thoughts about today's stories in the comments section. We want to hear from you. Well, still to come tonight, government promising to address long-standing mailboat woes. We'll tell you just how they plan to do that. And later, the Bahamas Department of Corrections gearing up to host a special conference in hopes of reducing the facility's recidivism rate. We've got more on that, but first, here's a check on tonight's weather forecast.
What? Check old girl, boy. Say she getting married? Oh, man. Not again.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to join this man's BTC home internet with this woman BTC mobile service in holy matrimony. So they'll pay half the price compared to the other guys.
What's wrong with you? Just let them...
Madam, do you have BTC mobile service?
I do.
Sir, do you have BTC home internet to unite with her mobile service?
I do.
Get all the internet you want at half the price when you bundle your home internet and mobile service.
So, what services do you have?
Me? I have BTC at home and on my phone.
Visit any BTC store to make the switch today.
You can't press pause on life. Time doesn't care that you have stuff to do, and not enough hours to do it. That's why CBS Bahamas exists. With thousands of items, it's easy to find what you need. We package and deliver the things you need when you need them. Select next day delivery and have your items delivered on time the following day. With our delivery service, there are no minimums, no limits, and no restrictions. Order as much or as little of the items you need. Your order will be carefully prepared and packaged to ensure 100% accuracy every time. Because for us, it's all about you. We have more products available for online ordering and delivery than anyone else in the Bahamas. CBS. Taste, elegance, style, build beautiful.
We have safely protected your lives, assets, and aspirations for over 100 years. That's a lot of protection. At BAF, we know that our commitment to you goes beyond a policy or an investment. It's a commitment. Find out how to grow with us. And if you are already with us, find out how we can help you grow even more. Because when you choose BAF, we are with you for life.
You're watching Eyewitness News.
Welcome back. Government is making a pledge to assess mailboats in country. At least that's what Family Island Affairs Minister Clay Sweeting says. The minister asserts that challenges faced by family islanders due to the mailboat system were amplified by the passage of Hurricane Fiona on the island of Maguana. Now, those residents were unable to properly prepare for the storm due to limited resources, while Sweeting says the Davis administration will do everything within their power to make sure that this does not happen again.
Here in Maguana is one that we're assessing. We're assessing nationwide on how we can better connect our people. We understand that being an island nation, sometimes the connectivity is one that remains a challenge, and we're not blind to the fact that this is one that has been this way for some time, and we must find a way to connect the islands in a better way to ensure that they have access to food, to supplies when storms come out of nowhere, like Hurricane Fiona. So we'll continue to assess. We'll work with the Ministry of Transport through my ministry to see how best we can connect and offer the immediate restitution that people need.
Scores of skilled workers welcome the last cohort of the Ministry of Public Services Professional Performance Engagement Program. Tonight, Leah Cooper has more on that exercise.
An orientation was held for the final cohort of the Public Service Professional Performance Engagement Program that is made up of some 200 skilled professionals. The program replaces the government's 52-week program and, according to officials, focuses on attracting the country's best and brightest.
We have definitely attracted a very bright and qualified group of individuals to the program. As a result of the pandemic, and they say, crisis brings opportunity. There's been a lot of persons that would have lost employment who are highly skilled but simply unable to find a job. We're grateful that the Bahamas government is able to engage these skilled persons, where we would have been conducting an ongoing audit to find out where we need to build capacity, not just hiring for hiring's sake, but ensuring that we're building capacity in the public service in the areas that are most needed.
Minister of State for the Public Service, Pia Glover-Roll, says that the ministry had partnered with a number of different private sector firms.
In particular, Cable Bahamas and Alive has shown immediate interest in the participants, especially those who are differently abled, and in partnering with their Alive Connect program, have agreed to take on a large number of our persons we've hired in our program who are persons with disabilities. We're very excited about the partnership and, of course, the opportunity for these differently abled persons to engage in a career with Alive Cable Bahamas that we know will end in the long term.
According to Edward Duncombe, Vice President of Cable Bahamas Group of Companies, participants will fill a number of roles within the organization.
They will be spread across the business in engineering, looking at administrative roles, those in the service sector as well. And so it's not limited. We're looking for those skills and understanding how can we align them to whatever the business needs are and how they can really impact customer service. And so wherever we're able to, when we start with the recruiting process and bringing them on, we want to make sure that we're aligning them in the right departments.
And a few participants share their goals and interests as they begin this new chapter.
Currently, I run a sports apparel and clothing brand called Untakeable, So I see being a part of the program as an opportunity for me to grow my business, through the additional income that the program is going to provide for me, as well as the networking and the different persons that I would meet, through the public sector.
I am looking forward to be a better person. I am happy I get the opportunity because I never had this opportunity, and looking to try the best that I can be.
Well, my interest is mainly dealing with children and seeing that children, in particular in this nation, have good, positive role models, care, some things that can be enhanced even as they are already, and me being a part of making it happen. My goal is to make sure that children get the highest care that can be given in this country.
Now, this is an annual budgeted program, and according to State Minister Glover Roll, 700 participants have been engaged across the nation in total. Leah Cooper, Eyewitness News.
The recidivism rate at the Bahamas Department of Correction stands at 12%. This coming from prison officials who informed reporters of the institution's Chaplains, Volunteers, and Caregivers Conference. The objectives are to positively transform the lives of inmates and reduce that recidivism rate. The conference kicks off on Thursday, October 6th through the 8th at the Auditorium of Faith United Missionary Baptist Church at 7 p.m. under the theme Transforming Lives.
The Bahamas Correctional Services Chaplaincy Department will host this conference at the auditorium at the Faith United Missionary Baptist Church. It starts on October the 6th and runs through the 8th. The first service the opening service will be on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. And this service will be open to the public. Then on Friday morning, we start with the classes and different facilities that will be teaching and engaging persons in a way to further enhance their skills, to do more in this rehabilitative service that we render. The location of the church or the hall is off Blue Road off Faith Way.
BDOC's chaplain, Dr. William Thompson, adds that he's also hoping to engage other companies and businesses to become a part of this effort.
As we continue our journey towards corrections, the responsibilities and commitments from all officers and community stakeholders will be important to the Department of Correction and the Bahamas by extension. No longer can we lock them up and throw away the key. We are mandated with a responsibility to ensuring that residents receive educational, vocational, reformation, and rehabilitative programs. More importantly, it is our duty to teach them good habits and to encourage them to become productive members of society.
Well, coming up in tonight's Sunday feature, our Leah Cooper takes us on a journey of thought through art and action. She sits down with a local artist to discuss the country's future. We'll tell you all about it in tonight's Sunday feature.
You work hard to provide for and protect the ones you love. However, life can present unexpected challenges. Who you call in times of need matters. Insurance Management is a Bahamian-owned company that has been serving our community for over 40 years, offering a wide range of coverage for all of your personal, professional, and commercial needs. When life happens, rest easy knowing that our skilled and experienced agents are there for you in your time of need, so that you can get back to what matters most. Insurance Management, Nobody does it better.
It's a new year, new me with Cash and Go's mobile wallet. The mobile wallet now features our services in a smoother and easier way to pay. At your convenience is the quick pay option to add your utility bills, international transfers, and much more. Pay your government fees, business payments, payroll, cash now, as well as save money with the newly added savings plan. It is fresh and savvy. Cash and Go's mobile wallet. Easy, simple, safe, and secure.
You're watching Eyewitness News.
Welcome back. A local artist questions the nation's breadwinning tourism industry and how it shapes the definition of culture locally. Our Leah Cooper has more in this week's Lifestyles with Leah.
Sun, sand, and sea has become synonymous with the Bahamian way of life, and Nassau-born Bahamian artist Blue Curry seeks to continue his ongoing critique of the country's golden goose and its impact on local culture. This installation-based exhibition at Turn Gallery at the Island House, called Leisure Aesthetics, is said to deconstruct the nuances and cliches of fabricated concepts surrounding the tourism industry.
He's questioning the aesthetics around the tourist industry, not just in the Bahamas, but in the Caribbean in general, and how that kind of aesthetic just takes over our lives and sort of flattens our own culture. So no matter where, like, we've all been to the cruise port, we've all seen those Bob Marley Bahama backpacks. Bob Marley has nothing to do with the Bahamas, obviously, but people that are manufacturing these kinds of things that are sold in our country and other countries don't know that much about our culture. So, you know, in the store market, we have Haemon Bahamas. Like, no one says that here. I'm not sure anyone says that in Jamaica.
That's Amanda Colson, the founding director of Turn Gallery, who also speaks to how art and artists are viewed because of these existing beliefs.
Also, he's questioning the idea that because we have certain flora and fauna, or because we have certain materials, so he uses materials that are common to our environment, that makes us somehow native or exotic. You know, to us that's just what's around us. So other artists from other countries can use, say, the materials they find in their city, and it's considered very contemporary and very avant-garde and very modern, but you know, you put a conch shell on something and suddenly that's native and even maybe a little backwards. So he's really trying to say, no, that's not the case. First of all, we have our own culture. Second of all, we're intelligent, avant-garde, contemporary people, as well as having our tradition and heritage. And I'm going to make art that is conceptual and difficult, but with the materials from our own space.
The exhibitions features a sunglasses rack, a hat rack, and a series of name badges, which all refer to tourist businesses. A beach towel flag was also erected to show how close tourism ties with the country's identity.
Set up to look like one of those shops you'll walk into and see these sort of endless hats and t-shirts that again have things written on them that don't necessarily have anything to do with really who we are. So he's playing on that, so that's what the hats are about. And then there's the sunglasses rack, which has a series of sunglasses, and instead of sunglasses, it's sea fans. And that's kind of speaking to, again, the use of materials, our own materials. And then there are the name badges, and I think the name badges are probably the most sort of biting. The name badges are very reminiscent of the kind of name badges that you would wear if you work in a restaurant or you work in the hotel sector or in tourism or something like that. Instead of your name.
The exhibition was presented with a backsplash of government or colonial pink, the same shade of pink seen on government buildings like the Ministry of Health and Government House, speaking to the manufactured nature of the industry. Local university professor Ian Bethel Bennett shares his thoughts on the presentation.
This is what many people have bought into as what the authentic Bahamas is. There are many social issues and economic issues and political issues. All of it relates to being a service industry, which is what the third or developing world has always been classed as. What we do not link are the ways that tourism mirrors the plantation, as Ian Strawn and Emilio Pantojas talk about in their work, but also the way that tourism builds dependence. Tourism dependency means that we have to rely on foreign direct investment. We have to rely on tourists coming in. We have to rely on more imports for everything. We have to rely on the WTO. So instead of building independence and resilience, we're actually building dependence and less resilient communities.
Leah Cooper, Eyewitness News.
Well, that does it for us in this Sunday edition of Eyewitness News. For all of us here, I'm Theo Seeley saying thanks so much for joining us. Have a good night.
The death of a loved one is never easy, but you can be prepared. A final expense insurance plan can cover the final obligations related to funeral, legal, and even outstanding medical expenses, and can be used to pay outstanding debts. It relieves your family of the stress and uncertainty often associated with making arrangements. It can be purchased in addition to traditional life insurance so that your beneficiaries need not use funds you allocated for their living expenses.
Welcome to Agape House, a call to holiness ministries in Freeport, Grand Bahama.
Today, as I try to unravel this message, I want to frame this in a way that speaks to all of us, that speaks to our heart, that speaks to our attention, that speaks to our mindset, that speaks to us as families. I want to frame this message from a point of being called from a dysfunctional but a blended family. Called from a blended, dysfunctional family. And I just want to take a moment to think about what is taking place in our society today, recognizing that for many of our children, they have already returned to school. Some will start perhaps tomorrow. And so we see that for most of us, this would be the first time that we find our children back into the classroom with any sense of normalcy. This may be the first time that we find ourselves feeling like we are over this period of COVID. We are over all of the mayhem and the everything that has taken place in our society over the past 2.5 to 3 years. Amen? Am I speaking to the church this morning?